are back in the hot field at Bessie Seeds. We call it the hot field because this is where we grow all of our tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and any other plants that really take well to the heat. As you can see right here, we have our tomatoes, and they're already partially staked and ready to grow up nice and tall. These plants right here are our indeterminate tomatoes. And what I mean by indeterminate are tomato plants that will produce throughout the whole growing season, that you don't have to pick all at once. You can continue enjoying your fruit all throughout the summer. Now on the other side of our hot field, I'll take a little walk over here. This is what I was talking about, the determinate tomatoes. They're a lot shorter. Some people choose to stake them, some people don't. They just leave them to just fall out on the soil. But we decided to stake our determinate tomatoes this year because it will give better air circulation and help prevent diseases. And the determinants are the plants that will produce a good crop of tomatoes within a 2 to 3 week period. And they're great if you decide that you want to make anything like stews and soups and sauces. So that's a little bit of a difference between the indeterminates and the determinate tomatoes. So as I had mentioned, as far as the indeterminate plants go, you do need to prune them. As you can see right here, between the main stem and the side stem, there's a little plant that's starting to grow in between, and that's called a sucker. So you need to take those out on the indeterminate or the staking variety of tomatoes. And when they're just small like this, it's quite easy to just pop them out like that. So it will not take very long to do that, and it will give you a better plant as a result. Now there are some bigger suckers here. As you can see, this one right here is quite large. So using a pair of little secateurs pruners are great for that because it'll make a nice clean cut, which will reduce the amount of diseases that you might get. So you just snip it off like that. As far as tomato plants go, they do sometimes get a little bit of a disease issue called late blight, which will cause a lot of trouble to many people if they are growing tomatoes. And some things that you can do to ward off this disease is to do what I have here, where we have our tomato plants staked. And when the plants are staked up nice and tall like this, it allows better air circulation so that the leaves will dry a lot quicker. And if you decide that you're going to start pruning from one plant to another, it's not a bad idea to take a little bit of a sterile cleaner with you so that you're not crossing the disease from one plant to another. And I also have another product that you can use. It's a Bordeaux copper spray, and it's a fungicide, and you mix it with water and you just simply spray it on the plant. And generally around July, the middle of July to the end of July is a good time to start using this spray as a prevention, because as soon as the blight spores set in, they will continue to spread throughout the whole growing season. If you do find that your tomato plants have some spots of blight on them, you can do a thing called leaf picking. You can just take the leaf off and be sure not to put it in your compost bin. You can burn these leaves so that they don't spread to any other plants that you may have or your neighbors, for sure. So those are just, a few little hints on how to combat late blight, which continues to be an issue for most people who grow tomatoes. Another way to deal with a late blight issue is to choose late blight resistant varieties. Here at Bessie's we do offer a couple blight resistant in the indeterminate and the determinate. Standing beside me is our Mountain Magic, which is an excellent late blight resistant plant. And we also have a determinate late blight resistant plant called Defiant. And those will definitely help you keep a longer growing season with your tomatoes. When it's time to start staking your tomato plants, you can use this type of twine. It's very sturdy and it'll help keep your tomatoes grow nice and tall and straight. As you can see here, we have already got a row of twine tied to the next post, and we did that probably about a week after we planted our tomato plants, because if you start at a young age, it will encourage them to grow straight, like I had mentioned. At about 7 to 10 days, you will be ready to tie your next strand of twine, and you can go up your stake about another 12 inches. And we do 12 inches at the young stage of the plant's growth. And as they get a little bit more mature, you won't need to have as close of a tying between each plant. You can probably go up to about 18 inches high. So all we do here is we just pull the string fairly tight, but not too tight, and we wind it around the next post 2 times to give it extra good support. And then we go back down the same side we came. And as you're doing it, you can try to keep the twine as much under the plant as possible so that you don't have to do too much handling when you go back around. And you can start seeing how it is supporting the plants and keeping them up nice and straight. And then when you get to the end of your post, you go all the way back on the other side and do the same thing. Go around the post 2 times and then back to the next post, and continue this process until you have all of your plants properly secured and straight. And then when you come to the end of your staking, I have a support in here just to make sure that the weight of the plants isn't too much for the stakes to handle, especially if you get a high wind throughout the summer. And you just cut the string and then tie it as tight as you can to your anchor. And when you're done of that, you can go back through and make sure that your plants are properly secured under the string so that the weaving will serve its purpose for your plants properly. So those are just a few little pointers on how to grow your tomatoes and the difference between indeterminates and determinates, and hope you join us again, and happy gardening.